This is Aria. She is the latest in a long line of Amazonian warriors, trained from birth for a single purpose: to protect her village from a generational threat hiding in the mountains. Her opponent is a nightmare of rock and shadow, a hulking ogre that emerges from the forest during the height of thunderstorms, using the roar of the clouds to mask its approach. For decades, the villagers have followed the same survival script. When the clouds darken, they barricade their homes and wait for the storm and the monster to pass. Every detail of this world reinforces a sense of dread. The frantic camera movements, the dim flicker of torchlight, and the suffocating weight of the storm clouds all point toward an inevitable, violent collision. With the warrior prepared and the monster looming, the stage is set for a traditional battle between absolute good and a mindless, prehistoric evil. But as a new storm breaks, Aria decides to change the strategy. Against the advice of her closest allies, she refuses to wait for the attack and instead tracks the ogre directly to its lair. Her plan relies on 3 distinct units. 2 groups hold the village line and the forest edge, while Aria leads a strike team into the heart of the ogre's territory. This sudden move toward the forest exposes a gap in the village's knowledge. Despite generations of conflict, no one actually knows where the ogre came from or how its curse began. The march into the woods is oppressive. Under a downpour that blurs their vision, the warriors move through twisted trees, bracing themselves for a brutal physical struggle. By taking the fight to the enemy, Aria forces a confrontation that appears to have only one possible outcome: a fight to the death. When Aria finally reaches the ogre's lair, the environment contradicts every legend she was told. This isn't a cave or a den. It's the overgrown linen of a human castle. As the creature emerges, Aria raises her sword, but catches a glimpse of the ogre's eyes. Instead of bloodlust, she sees a look of profound, recognizable suffering. A sudden burst of light stops the fight. A small blue fairy materializes between the combatants, forcing the warriors to lower their weapons. The fairy reveals that this castle once belonged to a royal family defined by their arrogance. They ruled the valley with a cold indifference toward anyone they considered beneath them. During a storm just like this one, the king found the fairy grounded and vulnerable. He didn't offer help. He imprisoned her in glass, hoping to squeeze her magic for wealth. The focus of the encounter shifts instantly. The tension dissolves into a history of greed and a mistake that changed the region forever. The fairy's retaliation was swift and devastating. She transformed the king and queen into trolls made of dead wood, condemned to wander the forest in a state of perpetual hate. But the curse hit an innocent target too. The young prince, only 12 years old, was transformed into a rock-skinned ogre, simply for being part of the royal bloodline. This diagram shows the loop the ogre was trapped in. He wasn't hunting the villagers. He was trying to reach the village for a piece of cake, a symbol of the birthday he was celebrating when the curse first took hold. To fix her error, the fairy created the golden arrow. It is the only magic capable of shattering the stone skin and restoring the prince's humanity. However, the arrow has a specific internal requirement. It will only activate if fired with a heart full of compassion. If the archer feels any hatred or a desire for revenge, the weapon will fail and the curse will become permanent. The battle has moved inward. Aria's survival depends on her ability to set aside a lifetime of fear and see a monster as a victim. Aria stands before the creature, forcing herself to let go of her defensive instincts. She has to look at the beast that has terrorized her village for years and see only a lost child. A moment of wonder. As she releases the string, the environment changes. The dark shadows of the castle are washed out by a golden hue, and the chaotic storm outside seems to fall silent. The arrow hits its mark. The rock skin rumbles and falls away, revealing a weeping human prince who hasn't spoken or been touched in decades. But the peace is short-lived. The unrepentant troll parents emerge from the shadows, driven by the same blind hatred that led to their original curse. Aria steps in to meet them. She uses her skill as a warrior not to slay a victim, but to protect the prince from the trolls, the real sources of the region's misery. The battle ends with the trolls driven back into the deep woods. Aria and the prince stand in the ruins of the castle, finally ready to build a new alliance between their people. When Aria returns to the village, the sun is finally out. She finds her daughter Anemone and pulls her into an embrace that signals the end of their long wartime. Aria teaches her daughter that the generational curse was only broken because she chose to find the root cause of the violence instead of simply fighting its symptoms. For years, the village answered a misunderstood cry for help with violence, which only kept the cycle moving. By looking past the surface level of the threat, Aria found a path to peace. This legend reminds us that the most difficult part of heroism isn't the physical combat. It is the radical compassion required to see the humanity hidden inside a monster.